I have with me Sophia Firdaus, first time Congress MLA from Odisha's Cuttack Barabati Assembly constituency. Sophia is also the first Muslim women MLA in the state assembly. She is among the more visible vocal faces of the Congress, and we have seen her in the forefront in the assembly session that just concluded. Welcome to the print, Sophia.
Thank you so much, Masumi.
Sophia, my first obvious question. So, how has your debut experience in politics been like? You are also the first Muslim women MLA in the state assembly.
Thank you so much for calling me on this prestigious show. And I would say it has been amazing, a blessed journey, an optimistic journey because of my natural optimistic nature. So I believe it's a complete blessing, and I look forward to putting in much more effort and contributing to much more what people expect from me to stand up to the expectations of my people.
Sophia, of late we have seen the assembly session that just concluded. So we saw a very aggressive Congress after a long time. Congress, was in power in the state once upon a time, has been relegated to the sidelines. But in the just concluded assembly session, we saw, you along with other leaders at the forefront, raising issues, protesting over atrocities against women. You hit the streets. In fact, 12 Congress MLAs were suspended from the assembly. So, do you think there's a kind of, re-strategizing in the Congress party?
See, of course, Congress has been very aggressive and has been pro-people in the seats where Congress has won, in the seats where Congress has won consistently as well. If you see, there are MLAs in Congress who are second time, third time, fifth time winner also. When you go to that pocket, then Congress itself has a vote bank and people are happy with the representative, and the workers and everybody are very, very enthusiastic, motivated, and people want to have Congress in those seats. Now our agenda is to ensure that the rest of the places where Congress is not visible, there the same kind of spirit, the kind of strategy we are able to take to other constituencies, so that Congress will be able to get much more seats and again come back with a thumping majority. So yes, we see a fresh start, because in the last 8 months we didn't have a PCC president, but there was a committee form, and if you are aware, the committee has performed very well. There was a ED Gherao, and there was one more big event which happened, and the committee members had taken it up, led by my father ex-MLA Mohammed Mukim, and it was a big success. So this shows that people are wanting Congress. There are workers who want somebody, a leader, to be there behind them, so that they can again come up with same strength and enthusiasm like they used to. Similarly, now the benefit is that we have a PCC president, a leader is there whom we all are following, and the leader is going in the perfect direction, because the biggest issue is the women issue right now in our state, which our leader has been able to understand. Our new AICC in charge and new secretary, they have been able to understand, because the AICC secretary is also a lady, Rosalind Tirki. So when we spoke about this is the cases against women, so it really picked immediately, and they really were able to understand that this is a very, very big issue which we need to immediately raise to protect our women. And somehow this issue has penetrated to a lot of people in a lot of levels. That is why you see the recent agitation and the protest has become successful, which now the PCC president is taking to every district, and it is a continuous momentum till we are able to give justice and we are able to ensure that the government is forced to take some actions to ensure safety and respect and dignity of women.
So there are two sides to it, Sophia. So one is that, people are saying that in this assembly session that concluded yesterday, in fact, the Congress was more visible than the principal opposition party, Biju Janata Dal. But the other side is that there are many who are saying that, Congress should have participated in the budget discussion, which it did not, because, you are out protesting and 12 MLAs got suspended. So how do you respond to that?
See, definitely Biju Janata Dal was in power for 5 terms, which is a very, very big tenure for them. Somehow the ex-chief minister was lucky enough to have got so much love of people, and he was re-elected so many times. But the kind of progress that should have happened in our state in such a long decade, such a long tenure of 24 years was not actually visible on the ground. So this time, when you see inside the assembly, Biju Janata Dal has always been a very, very scared, and they have always played very safe in everywhere they have been. Whenever Biju Janata Dal was there in the state, then also it used to completely support the central government in all the bills and everywhere. It was completely unanimous support because they were very, very scared. They had a lot of issues, lot of scams, so they wanted to protect their leaders. Similarly, now we see the same face in the assembly. The Biju Janata Dal has never been aggressive. Biju Janata Dal has never tried to understand the emotions of people or raise the issues which common public wants, because they have so many black spots in the last 24 years that they are just trying to protect their face. So it's the Congress only who has fought till the end, and Congress is the only opposition party that we are trying to fight with the government face to face. 14 MLAs are able to shake the entire assembly, and the government deliberately, the state government, the new government deliberately suspended all the MLAs for such a long period of 7 days when we were all prepared to speak about the women issue. It was just the next day, the day on the protest. We were all prepared to speak on the appropriational bill. We wanted to participate in the education policy. We already had spoken about the new education policy in the last session also, because it was withdrawn in the last session. It was not presented. So the government has played very tactfully, and they tried to silence the opposition because Congress is the only opposition. Biju Janata Dal has always surrendered, and they have always been in a mento. They were in mento officially for 9 years. After that also they have supported everything. Now also they are internally, we will say it's like a mento only for them. Both are together. So that's very much evident. And so we are the only party that is actually fighting for the people.
Sophia, tell us something about your background. Were you always interested in politics? How did you join politics? You were part of your father's real estate business. So how did that transformation from business to politics happen?
See, definitely because my father was into politics, we have a whole office, whole setup that we see daily, morning, evening, we see him being with the people, with the public life. So we are kind of very much accustomed to that life. But for me, my focus was completely business for the time being, because at a very young age, you can say, and also breaking barriers, I became the first woman to ever lead any city chapter in the history of CREDAI. CREDAI is a very big association having more than 20,000 developers, all the top-notch developers of the country. But till now, not a single woman was able to lead a chapter. I'm so happy that after I became the president in 23, this year, the CREDAI itself has abolished the women's wing. Why? Because they want to empower the general wing, and they want women to be there in the general and the youth wing. So this shows that somewhere they have acknowledged my leadership, and somewhere this has paved the way for other women also. So I was very much in my business, and I was focusing on scaling it to the next level, to getting better experience for our customers, because real estate has been a very difficult business. People say it's not a transparent business. So I was in a difficult field.
And also real estate is a sector where you see very few women.
Correct. So I was also trying to give my best, and somehow in trying to give my best, I was also leading by example, because a lot of people were seeing a lady is there in the front. I was doing liaisoning. I'm a site engineer, so I was civil, so I look after the site projects and all. So I was liking my field there, and I was trying to put my best in that field. Somehow we had in mind definitely later on, whenever people will think that we are capable of it, whenever opportunities will come, so maybe at that time we will enter into politics, but it was not in a very short term, goals. But as you're aware, my father couldn't contest the election, and we got to know at the last moment on 23rd April, with just 1 month, because the election was on 25th May. So we had to take a decision. So when we returned back, my father had completely left it on the party workers and all the senior leaders of our party that they need to take a unanimous call on who would lead the party. Because if you are aware, despite my father being the MLA of Barabati, Cuttack, when the elections for mayor election was held in Cuttack, our candidate was Giriwala Behra madam, who was a very old Congress leader, and she was also the district president. So it was never intended that I would enter into politics and be a selection from my father. But when we came back, it was a unanimous decision by all the party people who were waiting for us. The moment we came, they all suggested, Sophia has to come into and stand in this seat. Then only we all can work together. People will accept her, and we have worked with her in the background. We know that somehow we will get the respect and dignity within the party, and the same culture will continue. So that's how understanding the emotions of the people, understanding the emotions of the intellectual people of my constituency, because if you are aware about Barabati Cuttack as a whole, it is the most learned constituency of Odisha, because the High Court is there, all the senior judges, advocates, lot of people reside in Cuttack. The biggest hospitals are there in Cuttack, be it SCB Medical, Shishu Bhavan and other hospitals. So a lot of renowned doctors stay in Cuttack. When you go to CDA area, all the educated people are there. So this is a very intellectual seat, wherein a lot of well-wishers of my father also wanted that I should contest the election. So that's how, seeing the emotion of the people, I only went forward and told my father ki what I hear from everybody, they don't have any other option. They want me to contest. I'm okay to contest. I only went forward and I told him. He never asked me. He never pressurized me at all. So that's how the decision was taken. And I've been extremely blessed and extremely grateful to Almighty, to everybody who trusted me in such a short span. Anybody who hears ki you just came 30 days before, they're not able to believe. Because I had nothing, everything, the photo shoot happened, the marketing things went on, and everything, started from scratch from 23rd April. And in a very short time, in 30 days, I was able to gain the trust of people, and eventually we were able to retain the Barabati Cuttack constituency seat.
So, Sophia, there are also charges of, nepotism that is leveled against you, that the Supreme Court did not clear the conviction charges against your father, and that's why, he could not contest, and you contested from that seat, and, Cuttack Barabati constituency is an area that has been nurtured by your father. So, what do you have to say to that?
See, what I will say is that I was not active in politics, but my brother was there in politics. Similarly, in the mayor election, like I had told you, I was not the choice, When my father got the chance to choose a candidate, he chose a very senior Congress leader, Giriwala Behra, as the candidate for the mayor. But this time, we left it on the people. You tell who will be the right candidate, who can fight for the people, who can do justice, who can also take all the people together, just like my father was doing. So it was obvious from the people that they came up with the suggestion, your daughter, your elder daughter, Sophia, can only take up this, not that your younger daughter or your brother or somebody else. Had few options been there, then maybe he could have thought of and he could have discussed with a lot of people and have then brainstormed and come up with one candidate. But it was a unanimous choice by all the party people, and we didn't have time. Like I told you, we returned from Delhi. In the evening, everybody were there at home. There were so many phone calls, everything. And in the evening only, I took a call. I don't think there's any other option. Everybody is saying to let us take it forward. So, obviously, the allegation of nepotism comes because it has been easy to get the seat when people fight for so long. But my father has, of course, nurtured the constituency, and somehow people before elections knew the kind of person I was, so they thought that I can carry forward his legacy. There were other people in the family also who could have been a choice, but they thought of selecting me. So I would, when you see from the outside, it looks like nepotism. But when you see the real picture, it's just a unanimous decision which people took, maybe seeing my business acumen, maybe seeing my relationship with people, my hard work, whatever you say, but that option came up from the public.
So you were in the real estate sector, very cushioned kind of a job. From there to politics, where you have to, during election, you have to campaign maybe for, 20 hours on some days. And also, even when you are not campaigning, when election is not on, round the year, it's a whole lot of work, going out, meeting all kind of people, your constituents. So, has that, this jumping from business to politics, has it been, how easy or difficult has it been? because it's a different kind of a lifestyle.
But let me tell you, I'm very grateful that as I was a part of a difficult field like real estate, where I have seen so many customer complaints, where I have seen so many litigations, and where we have tried to scale the business. You know, we were at a level, we were at a comfortable level, but we tried to scale the business. When you try to scale the business and take up leadership roles, I was also into a lot of networking forums like ICC, INVEC, CII, then CREDAI. So these are all the forums I was in. And I was always hungry for more, you know. So I was not a 10 to 6 person. Me and my husband were very, very hardworking. Like we leave for office at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30, and we come back at 8, 9 o'clock in the evening. And we keep on traveling always. It's always we are traveling for work to some place or the other within the country, outside the country. So our journey has always been hectic, and it has always been aggressive. I'm not a person who sits at home, thanks to the support from my parents, my in-laws and everybody. So the transition to politics, now I relate that this is a difficult field. This is also like that, because here I listen to the grievances of public. I'm able to understand the field much more better because of my past experience in real estate, experience about the infrastructure work. Also, the timing is almost the same from the morning to night. Definitely, the campaigning during the 30 days was difficult because of the harsh sun, where I used to wake up at 5 a.m. We used to start from morning till night, 12 a.m., 1 a.m., no timing, 4-5 hours of sleep. That 1 month was very, very hectic, no doubt. But after that also, my timings are the same. I get up in the morning, I come home at 10, 11 o'clock. So it's a full rush always. And I think I'm able to manage politics because I'm really enjoying it. I'm working from my heart. And that's what is reflecting, I think. And so I'm able to manage it, and I look forward to managing it much more in a better way.
How would you rate the performance of the Mohan Manjhi government? It has been 10 months now. I mean, in 2 months, they will be completing a year. Short time.
So, when we speak about performance, let me start with few unfulfilled promises which the government had made in its manifesto. They had made a promise of empowering women by giving them 50,000 rupees in Subhadra Yojana. Unfortunately, they have only given 5,000, 5,000, 10,000, which is 27 rupees per day. So this is not women empowerment. They have failed to create Lakpati Didis also. They had also told during elections they will give 300 unit of free electricity, which they have not done. They had also written in the manifesto that they will ensure that all the small time businesses, small scale businesses will get back the chit fund money in 18 months. But 10 months has passed by and nothing, not a single initiative has started. So I will say it is easy to make promises, but the government has failed in fulfilling the written promises that they had made in the manifesto, which is very, very sad, and people can see it and people can judge them. Apart from that, if you go to the ground, everywhere the work is halted. The work is yet to start, be it infrastructure work, any new development work. So as such, the government has not worked on speeding up the infrastructure. The metro rail project, which was about to commence a year back, it has halted. Kind of all the flyovers are not working, are not progressing. So somewhere the government has not been able to gear up the works properly. If we speak about their work, they are simply following what the previous government was doing. They are following all the rules, regulation, policies of the previous government. They have not been able to implement a new policy yet, except the education policy, which is they just have taken from the central government. They have not done anything on their own till now. So it's very early, and we say that till now we are not seeing as such any results, and people are harassed, people are giving grievances, and the grievances are not getting solved. They are coming back to the MLAs. A lot of commitments they had made, all those commitments are not getting fulfilled. So I think it's high time the government wakes up, apart from just changing names and changing colors, and starts performing, which people have voted them for, and they will be soon accountable and they will be answerable also to public.
So how would you compare it? I mean, you were not in politics back then, but since your father was in politics, and I mean, you have been part of that ecosystem. How would you compare it with, the Naveen Patnaik government, which was in power for 25 years?
Naveen Patnaik government, which was in power, had started abusing their power, and the arrogance had gone up to the next level. Nothing was moving. They were inaccessible to the common public. Grievance was not going there. So there were a lot of issues. I can understand because I was in the business background. Being in business, heading a city chapter, being a part of the Odisha chapter, we were not getting appointment, leave it for the common people. So he was not at all accessible to anybody. And of course, the arrogance had gone to the next level. They had only focused on few pockets, like few areas of Bhubaneswar. And thanks to my father's aggressive approach, development work didn't happen in the last 20 years, but in the last 5 years, development work happened in Cuttack, which Cuttack didn't see since a long time. So in that way, the government was kicked out because of its arrogance. But this government is also going in the same direction, I will say. This government is getting arrogant. They are accessible to public, but what is the result? Result is not that the grievances of public is not getting resolved. So we don't see as such any major benefit which public is getting from the change of the government. They are able to go and meet an MLA, they are able to go and meet minister, but what is the outcome? Is the work getting done? So that's a big question mark. I don't think the general public is getting any benefit from this new government.
But do you think in a scenario like this, the Congress has to take up its aggressive stand, be more, sorry, I'll do it again. So do you think in a scenario like this, the Congress needs to be far more aggressive than it is currently and, need to maybe, take up issues on a regular basis, they need to be more vocal. So this will also, reinvigorate the party. I mean, boost the morale of the party workers.
We have a lot of expectation from the new PCC president, and we really hope Congress just needs to take up the issues of the public. Congress just needs to be the voice of the public. So eventually, how will a party survive and how will a party go up? Only when I'm able to understand the sentiment of my people, what my constituency people want me to speak. If I'm able to speak and fight for that, then only my people will be happy. So the Congress, it's the perfect time for Congress because Congress is becoming the voice of people, voice of the oppressed. And if we go in this direction, if we are able to pick up the issues which is affecting the people, then we'll be definitely able to fight for them, voice for them, and people will obviously understand that the Congress is the only party which is actually fighting for them at all the levels, inside the assembly, outside the assembly, at every block level, at every panchayat level. So they will have trust in the party and they will definitely get attracted towards this party. Also, if you see out of the 14 MLAs, there are new faces, like 70% are new faces. So somehow people have voted for Congress, for the new faces in the constituency where Congress has its vote bank and has worked hard. So yes, if Congress is able to levy on this and get new faces, young people, then people will start having trust in the vision of the party and we will be able to revive.
So there's a need to bring in more young people, more young politicians into the fold. Thank you so much, Sophia, for talking to us. It's been nice having you with the print.
Thank you so much.